What is up, down, and sideways, you beautiful people? It is League Unlock. Eric and Mark here with you guys. A little bit of power ranking action today. Of course, starting LCS North America, the funnest of fun regions. And finally, we're seeing some consistency when it comes to power rankings, not just in the LCS, across most of the regions where you feel like a lot of the teams are kind of set in place where they are. The first few weeks, everybody's flying all over the place, but we're getting some normalcy now.
Yeah, every week felt like one of those Jenga towers collapsing, and then you had to kind of rebuild it, putting it back up.
It was someone collapsed it, though.
Yeah, not this time. This week, a lot less spice, a lot less movement in the power rankings, but still an important time to take a checkup on our the LCS, of course, and checking in at the very bottom at that matchup for who's fighting with CLG for the last spot in the power rankings. And as we know, big clutch dub for the CLG side. They can't be the last team.
No, that's been the real story to watch in the bottom half of the LCS is the constant changing between Golden Guardians and CLG. Even when the Guardians had twice as many wins, 2-1, you still felt like CLG were more competitive in their games. And now finally they get the win against Dig. So yes, we can slide them up, boys. They're into that number 9 spot. And you still feel like 2 wins. I know the memes are all there for CLG, but they have had some decent games. It feels like they're better than 2-10.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as talking about what their record is, you're not going up and saying, "Oh man, they should have 6, 8 wins." No.
4.
You should
4 wins.
3, 4. I think you can make those arguments absolutely. That with better execution, better fundamentals, they find a way to get that through better performance and communication. Things that we have seen improve to various degrees, from absolutely bare minimum to actually substantial for the squad as the roster has come together. And I wanted to take this time to give another shout out to their performance this week. I think Smoothie down in the bottom side as the support has stepped up his play for the squad in the last 2 weeks. He's had a rough go.
Ban Rel against Smoothie. Man.
Yeah, ban the Rel from Smoothie, but he's had a rough go, I think, the last year or so as far as his performance goes and what his stock value would be around the LCS. A bounce back last 2 weeks, and especially this past weekend for him, helping CLG get the dub.
And there's such a unique case because it's not like it's a batch of rookies like Golden Guardians where they're slowly developing. We're talking about 5 veterans, 5 guys who have all been to the World Championship are on this CLG roster. So it's a different case than the rookies, but like we've said before, they're likable, happy that they pick up another win. Ahead of them, you have Immortals and FlyQuest. FlyQuest moves up a spot, and I know we talked about TSM. Okay, they end the week on a sour note with the loss against FlyQuest. FlyQuest, they are only climbing because of that win against TSM, because it was clean from them. But if they had lost that, we'd be starting to talk full panic mode if you're FlyQuest.
Yeah, an absolutely crucial turnaround victory for the FlyQuest squad to get against the TSM that had been rising in the standings, rising in their form that we had been seeing from them. Definitely the turnaround victory that a FlyQuest squads need, but now they need to build upon it, right? That you need to build upon that success and replicate it moving forward. And that's where obviously the question marks come in, because there have been inconsistencies just throughout the variety of the play that FlyQuest have had this year. And that's talking about the record that they've got, right? Not even talking about in the wins, how they can continue the positive trends. Every game, there's been inconsistency from this squad, things that you would expect with young players on the team, moving from a Cloud9 organization and support structure to what FlyQuest has. Definitely going to be a different level of impact for the team. And getting this win against TSM, one can only hope is that turnaround.
Yeah, it's been a disappointing start overall. I think most people would say the aspirations, expectations for the squad were at the very least playoffs. In some capacity, they're not there yet. And for Immortals, who might have a better record, they still 1-2 this week. The only win they picked up was against Golden Guardians, so not enough there. The TSM win is weighed a lot heavier than that for FlyQuest. Dignitas slides to that 6th spot, and Dignitas, sometimes I think about power rankings as these games go on. Over the weekend, and you see you see the 100 Thieves match up against Dignitas, and you're like, okay, they lost this game, But honestly, I might still be more confident in Dignitas than 100 Thieves. I was ready to have them ahead of 100 Thieves despite that loss, and then they lose to CLG, and it's like, guys, you got to help me out a little bit.
Yeah, and this one actually does feel bad, not for, the situation that you're in as the squad, at the 5th spot in the power rankings, but it's more about you should be 4th. And it's not about you and your performance. It really is about that 4th team. We can talk about 100 Thieves coming up, but I think that they have not done enough to provide that value at what a number 4 spot should be, even in the LCS power rankings of what you can be able to provide. Dignitas had been showing signs of that. They'd been showing that level of play and climbing up to that spot for a while, but slip-ups a little bit last week. And as you said, the big one against the CLG boys, can't be affording that in the power rankings.
And that's why they're down to 6. And as we move into the top 5, because to me, 6-4 is the exact same category. And we're definitely seeing now a playoff bubble with 2 games ahead for Dig ahead of Immortals for that final playoff spot. But 5 is Evil Geniuses, and you talk about slip-ups for Dignitas to fall to 6. EG, I just don't have the confidence to put them any higher than 5.
Yeah, and absolutely, as far as what you're talking, where their power can be, what they can offer on the Rift, this is an Evil Genius squad that could slot all the way into the top 3 of what you think of teams in NA.
On a good day.
Yeah, the consistency and the bigger problem for me is just the decision making that is coming through, because as we've talked about with this Evil Genius roster, I think a big thing is going to be the coaching staff and what they're able to provide for these players and how they're able to help them with the game knowledge. But as far as the decision making in game, in the heat of the moment, they're taking a lot of these fights, and you're like, guys, there really is no upside to taking this fight. It's a whatever, 65-75% chance that sure you kill this guy and okay, a little bit of gold, a bit of XP, but there's nothing to really take advantage of. No neutral objectives, these type of things, and then you get caught, and that's the problem for Evil Geniuses. They're getting caught too many times at the bad times.
They're a bit like, and hold your horses for this comparison, they're kind of like IG in the fact that they're not as good as IG, guys. I'll settle down. But the level of you can be a top 3 team or a bottom 3 team on any given day, and even you look at the solo laners, I would say that Jizuke is the shy for the Evil Geniuses squad, and Impact is the rookie role where he's much more consistent, and Jizuke is either 1v9ing or losing you the game single-handedly.
Yeah, this is the LCS version of IG, as you said. The dollar store IG. There's no sugar in this drink, my man. And there is a lack, as you said, as that decision making, that the choices that you had, and the consistency. These are the things that hold back Evil Geniuses. When we talk about the high end, the top end of what this roster has been able to do, all facets have been able to provide firepower. As we've talked, you've been getting great performances, and more so, unbelievably, the steady performances from Impact in that top side. And then Svenskeren and Jizuke, definitely Ignore have all delivered star performances, eye-dropping type of plays, outplays. But it's never been consistent. And unfortunately, the decision-making, I keep saying that word because that's the key. The choices that they're making in-game, in these, split-second chances, they've been the wrong decisions.
Yeah, headbutting the rel into your backline is not a great play. It's not a great play to win a game. The number 4 spot is 100 Thieves, as we mentioned, and you've heard people talk about this 8-4, where CLG should have a better record. 100 Thieves shouldn't be 8-4. They've been gifted some of these. They could easily be 500 at 6-6 or even lower than that. It's some of the numbers for them. It's not screaming out to be a top tier team. They're the only playoff team that has a sub 1 team KDA, and they also have the longest game time. 37 minutes is their average game time. That's because they've played in some barn burners or fiestas, if you want to call them, so far this split.
And I've seen a lot of the conversation now about 100 Thieves turning on to Demonte and his performance, or his lack thereof, really, as we've moved to more often seeing control mages, the Syndras, the Orianas being picked, more so than seeing the Twisted Fate, the Galio that we had been seeing him find a lot of success with the team for. That's an issue where I absolutely have no doubts about Demonte's skill and his level of play that can step up to where it's necessary for 100 be in the conversation with Cloud9, TSM, the Team Liquid, that very top of what is the LCS. 100 Thieves has to be there and has the talent to be in that conversation. The execution has not been there in the last 2 weeks, and that's a very clear thing. But that is not limited to just Demonte in the mid lane and his performance.
Yeah, and I mean, Closer is the hero and savior of the squad and has been. Same with Sunday, a lot of his games. But it's not even just necessarily individual performances. You can just look out, maybe, I don't know if you want to call it macro, because the Golden Guardians looked pretty good with this 4/5 of them. They were moving around the map well, but there's a lot of things to nitpick about 100 Thieves, and their record doesn't fully demonstrate the level that they're at, which is why a squad like Team Liquid is still in that top 3 as it remains the same, because of Dig, EG, and 100 Thieves all you're not having full confidence in. Team Liquid, you saw the competitive match that they had against Team Liquid. Against TSM, excuse me. So despite having one less win, pretty confident still having them at 3, TSM at 2.
Yeah, what you've seen from Team Liquid would absolutely indicate a team at this level of play and this quality. And as unfortunate as you said, it is really that you want to be seeing a team like 100 Thieves be able to fight, compete in this territory of the LCS and push these type of teams, these organizations. The performance not quite up to that level, and especially after this past weekend, where even as you alluded to, the loss with TSM, even with that considered, the level of play, the actual on Rift product that we saw from Team Liquid, there's no denying that they are the number 3 team in the LCS.
And I think TSM is pretty well slotted into that second spot, despite again the loss to FlyQuest, the rough end of the week. It's amazing that TSM with Reggie being as toxic as ever, everybody wanting them to lose now. They always seem to lose at the end of the week, and then it's like people's lasting impression from the weekend are, well, Spica can't smite versus Dart. Oh, they got wrecked by FlyQuest. See, TSM overrated as usual.
And this is where, when again, the buzzword we've been talking about, inconsistency, right? Being the team that you have shown week in, day after day. For TSM, they've shown up on the weekends and they've provided us with this top level team, this number 2 in our power ranking teams for the Friday, for the Saturday. And then something happens on Sunday that they're not playing the same squad, same style. And as you said, you're having instances where you're having an individual like Spica having some rough performances and people questioning, oh, man, Spica, does he even know where the smite button is? What's going on about this? And then you're realizing, then you get the Friday and the Saturday games where Spica's popping off and is a big, important part of why TSM is playing well. And that's where we talk about the inconsistency. And when we've talked about other teams, the inconsistency is there either for the full 3 days of the weekend or for 2 days of the weekend. With TSM right now, we're dealing with 1 day of inconsistency. And I'll tell you what, that's good enough for second in North America.
It's a lot better when you have 3 days, when it's only a third of them instead of half. And pop-off performance or playing Skarner. You can't have both. You got to pick one or the other for Spica. Number 1 is Cloud9, of course. Another 3-0 weekend. They now start to separate themselves from the rest of the LCS a little bit more. They're just waiting for playoffs, really. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, you're waiting for the big fights, right? Again, I guess the Team Liquid rematches, the TSM match, those are the ones that you're really waiting on, I guess, in the regular season. But as you said, your eyes are towards the future for this Cloud9 roster. And
they're looking at Iceland. When do we book our tickets?
Exactly. With the announcement of MSI returning, that's the redemption needs to happen for this Cloud9 roster to make sure they get to go to this international event that they, unfortunately, with everything going on, missed out on last year, then missing out on Worlds. Cloud9 has got to go international, and they need to be looking international and preparing to play against that level of things. And what we've seen this past week from this Cloud9 roster, from Perk specifically, leaves me feeling better about them and how they could stack up against the international squads they might face in MSI.
We need to see Perks against G2 at MSI. So Riot scriptwriters, don't deny us this beautiful thing, because it is the main reason people want to see spring. But yeah, Cloud9 still at number 1, the top 3 the same in the LCS. That's it today for LCS rankings. Eric and Mark here with you guys. Thanks for hanging. We'll catch you on that flippity flip.